Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Black Butler, chapter 186. When we last left our heroes, we sort of wrapped up that conversation between Baldroy and Ada that we've been at for like several months now, as Ada sort of told Baldroy how she ended up in the situation that she's in, that she returned from the war in Sudan, wanting to implement Florence Nightingale's medical practices, and she met pushback after pushback from more established doctors who didn't want this young upstart challenging them, and she was sort of despondent, moving from sanatorium to sanatorium until she found the Karstein Hospital and the Aurora Society, who, offered to fund her in exchange for a little bit of blood. Not enough to actually kill anyone, but enough to, do the Aurora Society's experiment over in Sphere Music Hall. And so she decided to take that offer, even when she realized that her benefactors were involved in the Sphere Music Hall incident. And then they started asking for more and more blood in exchange for not cutting her funding. So she's been in this sort of moral quandary, and Baldroy offers to help. That, his only orders is to stop the sending of blood to the Aurora Society. So if she does that and sticks to her principles, Baldroy will support her. And with that, they go their separate ways, but Baldroy is cornered by Lau, disappointed in the answer he chose, that he's not just going to go ahead and kill Ada. So with that said, let's dive right on into chapter 186, The Butler Self-Directed. And we have Lau in this lavish robe, with a dragon on his arm, like a falconer's thing. Never stroke the blue dragon's head. Chapter 186, The Butler Self-Directed. We open right where we left off, with Lau still holding a knife up to Baldroy's cheek. And he questions, "So that is your answer? I'm disappointed in you, Master Cook." Which I do believe is the same line he ended last month on. But Baldroy, we see the little drop of sweat above his lip. "I thought you were going to give me a couple of days. Awfully impatient, aren't you?" But Lau counters, "Not if waiting would compromise my interests, as a matter of course." But Baldroy goes on, This facility was collecting blood, but they're doing it only because they need the funds." And we see Baldroy's a little bit desperate to get Lau to understand this, but Lau doesn't seem to care. Baldroy goes on, "I don't want to kill anyone who's here. I'm sure young Master wouldn't either." I don't know, CL does like killing people. Or CL has very little qualms about killing people, we'll say. But Lau just stabs the knife right next to Baldroy's head and leans in. "You seem to have the wrong idea. I do not need your opinion. If you cannot execute your master's commands, you're an incompetent servant. Why burden the Earl with more trouble? He's not even an Earl now. He's merely a child who has been pushed to the brink." So that's an interesting thing Lau is doing here. Because he's definitely playing on this sense that what it feels like he's saying is, CL has so much on his plate, don't worry him with more thoughts about whether we should or shouldn't do something, just go ahead and do it. But I don't know. They both seem to have a somewhat faulty interpretation of CL, to my mind. Because I don't think CL would particularly care if all these people died. He's not exactly known for having any real sense of morality here. But anyway, Lau goes on, "I pity the Earl for having a foolish servant. So I shall dispose of you here." And I guess he's gonna kill Baldroy like that. And then he freezes when the knife is an inch away from Baldroy's eye. I'm not quite sure why. It doesn't look like Baldroy has grabbed him or anything. But Baldroy then says, "I don't know why you joined hands with young Master. But I'm a Phantom Hive, and you're a Chingbang. I'd pity Chingbang even more if their top official was stupid enough to kill someone else's pawn. Ain't I right?" Okay, so he's sort of threatening. He's threatening Lau with if you kill CL's servant, that's, something of a declaration of war. Maybe not quite full-on war, but it's definitely going to raise tensions between those two organizations. So it's a bit of a practical political move here. And Lau sort of moves his knife back, I see. I thought you were a fool beyond saving, because you were swayed by fleeting emotions and do not want to kill. But you do have a brain. However, it's still not enough, and he gets right back into his like stabbing pose. Baldroy's shocked. We hear this thud, and it's Ronald Knox, who I guess Baldroy. Oh, I see what happened. Lau, he acts like he's gonna stab Baldroy, but he actually throws the book at Knox, who catches it in his book. Knox is just stunned. I'm curious how much Lau suspects about Knox. Because, like, I don't remember Lau having any connection to the more supernatural side of the series. Well, Knox, obviously does. But maybe Lau still, like, is able to predict that there's something not quite right about this doctor here. But anyway, Knox exclaims, "You scared me! What on earth was that for, Dr. Chang?" Which is the pseudonym that Ling has been using. We haven't heard the pseudonym in a long time, so I had forgotten he had a pseudonym until I saw Dr. Chang there. But anyway, Ling yawns. Dr. Knox, or no, more of a stunned little, like, whatever. His hand is up at his face, so I thought it was like a yawn, but it's more of a shock. Dr. Knox, I am so sorry. I thought a rat had sneaked in. Rats must not be in this clean facility, as they're noxious beasts covered with pathogens. That's still quite a way, like, that's a suspicious lie, Ling. Who's gonna buy that you were gonna just stab a rat at random? But whatever. Knox has his own suspiciousness. But Knox pulls a knife out of his book. You're right. What were you two doing here? Baldroy tells him, I had trouble falling asleep, so I asked Dr. Chang to accompany me for a walk. Knox tells them, Ada will give you a good scolding if she sees you walking around at night. Ling chimes in, you're right, we'll return to our beds before she finds us. And Knox leaves there. I'm curious if either of them have any suspicion as to who or what Knox is. We don't really see any of that because, they're not really commenting on Knox. Just Lau threatening Baldroy, I've warned you. And Baldroy sort of stands there and leaves. And then is the day. And we see that a delivery has been made. And it's Ada and a bunch of like the nurses at the sanatorium, including the girl we met once before, a long time ago. I vaguely remember her. But I don't remember really what her name was. I'm going to see if I can find it very quickly. I don't even know where it would be on here. There's not like oh, Layla, here it is. And, so Layla's there. And Ada tells her, carry the bandages and medicines to the warehouse. And Layla tells her, yes, I will. And the, delivery guy tells Ada, where's the payment for today? And this is clearly the Aurora Society guy, because she walks over to a couple wooden crates and tells him, here. And she opens it up, and we see it's full of blood. It's unclear if, whatever plot Baldroy had in mind has already been put into action here, or if Ada was forced to, give Aurora Society what they want. But anyway, the man tells her, you collected the amount you promised us this time. You made a wise choice. Good. And we see Ada is clearly uncomfortable with all this, as we've sort of seen over the past year or so of this story. But with that, the man leaves, and Ada watches, and we see, in the trees, watching this delivery guy, is Baldroy. To be continued. That's just where we leave off. Okay, so it's it's all the problems Black Butler normally has, right? Where there's just not enough content here. I think if I count the pages here, we're left with a 11-page chapter, which is short as Black Butler tends to be, is short by weekly standards, let alone monthly standards. But after around a year or so of being stuck in flashback land, this is far from the worst thing in the world. There is, definitive progress being made. this sort of conflict between Ling and Baldroy that's not really, or of Lau and Baldroy. I've been calling him Ling all video. Fuck. Am I stupid? I might be stupid. I distinctly might be stupid. Have I been saying Ling? I wonder why I'm thinking about FMA right now. I don't know. Fuck. You ever had those moments where, like, I just fucked up so bad? Like, yeah, I'm stupid. You know, I said Ling, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Lau. This conversation between Lau and Baldroy. Fuck. Anyway, this conversation between Lau and Baldroy, and there's some really, like, interesting sort of arguments made. Like, this idea of Ciel as being so overly put upon, just give him a break and start killing people. It's a very Lau mindset. It doesn't really fit with like, it's definitely something Baldroy would do. But it's something Lau would say. And it's honestly something that maybe even Ciel would sort of agree with. You know, whenever I'm talking about Ciel having no problems murdering people, excuse me, I'm always thinking back to, like, the end of the circus arc, where he just, like, burns a mansion full of orphans down or something, on, like, the argument that they'll have a terrible life anyway. So, like, Ciel isn't exactly a bastion of morality. I don't think, you know, Baldroy has this line, where is it? I don't want to kill anyone who's here. I'm sure young Master wouldn't either. And that kind of represents a very naive view of Ciel. And maybe Baldroy still sort of has a kind of naive view of Ciel. Certainly not as naive as, say, it was, you know, in the flashback, when we thought Ciel was just some kid. But I think you see Ciel as maybe being a little better than he is. A little less cold-hearted, you know, not really the Ciel we've come to know over the past 15 years of this manga. But the argument sort of, you know, Baldroy is able to push back against that with an interesting argument, in that, like, the Phantom Hive and the Qingbang are sort of allied right now, but they're not necessarily always allied. And so starting a fight by, like, killing one of Ciel's, in this sort of metaphors, top lieutenants, as he only has, like, 4 or 5, you know, servants, killing one of his lieutenants, so to speak, is maybe not the best move. It's sort of, you know, gonna raise tensions between the two organizations. And then we have this Knox bit, which I'm sort of, you know, I don't really think that either of them, either Baldroy or Lau, have bought into, or I don't think that either of them have caught on to the fact that, like, Knox is not who he says he is, because I don't think any of them are really super aware of the whole concept of Reapers. I certainly don't think Lau is, and I don't think Baldroy is either, though I might be wrong on that point. But still, Knox, you know, if Knox wasn't already suspicious, I mean, Knox basically has the whole picture at this point, given that he was eavesdropping in on the conversation between Ada and Baldroy, which makes Knox this sort of really interesting, I don't know where he sort of stands right now. You know, what are his goals here? Because if, you know, the assumption is that he's, as are the rest of the Shinigami, opposed to the Undertaker and the Aurora Society and all their goals, which means learning that Ada is also in theory opposed to them and wants to be able to oppose them in practice should put Knox on the same side as Baldroy and Ada, at least. Lau, you know, just wants to kill everyone and be done with it. But it seems like he should be on the same side as Ada and Baldroy. And I have this vague memory, I'm not sure if it's something I thought or something I saw somewhere else, of a theory that, like, what if Knox is actively on the Undertaker's side? Because it is, if you think about it, kind of weird that, like, you know, if Knox is so anti-Undertaker, why is he? Like, why hasn't he done anything to stop the blood at this point? Right? Why hasn't he made any move against Ada? If he thought Ada was genuinely on the Undertaker's side, why not make a move against her well before now? And I don't really have an answer to that. So maybe when he's eavesdropping, the reason he doesn't like join in on their conversation is because he's opposed to stopping the blood. I don't know. It's something to sort of keep in the back of your mind. But anyway, the next day passes. You know, the fight is sort of abated thanks to Knox's intervention, accidental or otherwise. And then it's the next day. Ada has to make the delivery, but Baldroy is here to, I guess, try to like. I think he's gonna like act as a bandit here and rob the delivery guy, allowing Ada to have like done the thing she needs to do to continue to get funding, but also not give the Aurora Society their funds or their blood. I'm not sure how that will work, because I could also imagine the Aurora Society just like demanding more blood as a result. But it is a plan, and it is also the kind of plan that feels like it could like be made in the course of like 10 hours. So we'll see all of that next month. All in all, you know, despite my problems with how little content there is in every month's chapter, there is just plenty of good stuff here. You know, it's the sort of thing where I'm like, when this comes out in the volumes and you can read the whole arc at once, this is a chapter that will work very well. The only problem is just, you know, the perennial problem of Black Butler. It's pacing. Its release schedule is so slow for how little content we get. With that being said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. But, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!